Welcome, peeps. Welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Paratha Session with myself, Randeep. I'm going to be joined today by my co-hosts Ricky, Palleh, and Sam as we break down the Leeds victory. We're also going to be talking about the future of Douglas Luiz, and we're going to be playing Punjabi Who Am I. So let's get it started. So I'm joined here today with Palleh. Palleh, how you doing?
I'm good, Randy. How's it going with you guys?
Yeah, all good, bro. And we're also joined today with Sam. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good, mate. Long time.
Yeah, long time. I hear you are multitasking. How you doing a barbecue at the same time?
I did promise the kids yesterday, if the day's as nice as it was yesterday, we'll get the barbecue out. But what I didn't realise, I had to do all the graft and clean it first. The first one of the year.
Weather's good for it. So let's...
good for it, man.
That's cool, man. All right, well, we're here today to talk about the Leeds game and our performance yesterday. We're also going to be talking about Douglas Luiz and his future at Aston Villa. And then we'll be playing Punjabi Who Am I. So let's break down the tale of the tape from yesterday. Obviously, for us, we were a bit hit and miss going into this game in terms of form. And also, we had a very jaded performance against Leicester. Leeds have also been on a bit of a hit and miss form recently. But, you can never rule out Rafinha, who looks to be a threat. Now, we brought in Elmo to cover the injured Cash. We had Nakamba brought in for Luiz, and Ramsey brought into the mix to replace Barkley. And again, no Jack. Another game without Jack. So I think we had a point to prove. Palleh, why do you think this game was important? Why was it important for us to bounce back?
Yeah, it's a good question there, Andy. Yeah, I definitely think it was important for us to bounce back in terms of, obviously, the last two performances. What was it, against Leicester and Brighton? But we very flat in some of those, in both of those performances at times. We had our moments in those games, but we didn't really look like winning it, if I'm being honest. And I think even the game yesterday, absolutely chuffed with the result. Wasn't expecting the win before the game, if I'm honest. So I guess, from a confidence point of view, it's amazing that, we got the win, 3 points, but it's also, to take away some, you had a lot of teams have a pop at us saying we're a one-man team. It's great to, just sort of let those people know we're really eight. There's a bigger project behind it, and it's just not solely a Jack Grealish team. So we got some good youngsters coming through. Ramsey, good performance as well. So all in all, unexpected, if I'm honest, but definitely take the 3 points and the confidence, roll on the next game now. Good
performance, I would say, and it was important to get those 3 points. And with no Jack, we kind of proves that we're not a one-man team. Sam, what was it for you? How did you want the players to bounce back from this?
Well, one of the first things, especially the last 2 months, Palleh hit the nail on the head. We were lacking stuff, and I think for me, we were lacking a lot of energy. A lot of the players has played a lot of the season. Douglas Luiz, as an example, and I think we needed to freshen it up a bit. Bringing the camera on, that just gives it solidity. Having the legs, I would have gone for either Sanson or Ramsey, and he went for Ramsey, a bit of use, that's fine. But having something a little bit different to Ross, I can understand why he left Bertrand on as well, or why he started with him, because although he doesn't come back and cover much, that little bit of creativity and that little dimension that he brings to it with Ollie, I think that worked. And on the other side, you had Alghazi who worked really hard. So the main thing for me, I think, energy. We brought a lot of energy to the game, especially after the couple of flat ones. And I'm glad that Dean Smith changed it around a bit in terms of having some different personnel there. Credit to Elmo, having Rafinha and Douglas, Helder Costa. Was it Helder Costa on the wings? Him having to put up with those, he actually played decent. And again, the back four, back five, Martinez didn't have too much to do, but what he did was solid. That part, I don't think worried us. It's that energy that was lacking. And like you said, without Jack, we needed to show that we could play without him. It does go through him when he's playing, absolutely. But when he's not playing, we can be solid. So it was a satisfying result. Yeah, we didn't click everything we were doing, and how much did Ollie do up front on his own? It was a bit tough, but I think actually we went through, got a really good result.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Elmo did really well. I think his experience really showed in the second half, and certainly it was that energy that was missing. You know what's funny to me, lads, though, is that this kind of felt like a derby game. And I think this is started from Gabby's and Mills having a bit of bants over on the Astro Sports over in Malaysia. I think they're trying to be a new Carragher and Gary Neville. But what do you guys think? Did you feel like a derby for you lot? And what do you think of Leeds fans' reaction to what Gabby's been saying?
Yeah, I mean, definitely think there's a bit of a derby element. I think it goes back to a bit of bad blood between the teams, especially with that famous, I can't remember who scored the goal last season when Leeds. Yeah, I think there's a lot of bad blood between the fans from then. And I think the season before, or the same season, didn't Kimaru score like a last-minute winner at Villa Park to win it 4-3 as well? So there's been some eventful games between us, I guess, over the last few years. I guess there was that rivalry as well. Obviously that we were both in the playoffs. They lost it to Derby and we went up. Considering they're the position we're in, so I guess a lot of our fans gave them a lot of stick. Yeah, I did see an article in the Birmingham Mail this morning as well. Some of the reaction, they had a lot of quotes from Leeds fans of Twitter. Let's just say they weren't too pleased, were they, with the result? I mean, I think some of it was a overreaction. I know they had most of the ball. Let's be honest, guys, but let's be honest, we didn't look like they were going to run away with it, did they? They didn't look like they were going to score at any point. Normally, Villa holding on to a lead, you normally feel a bit worried. But yesterday, honestly, I couldn't really see them scoring a goal. I felt really confident in the defence. But yeah, I guess it goes back to, I think it does feel like a bit of a derby. And I'd hate to be a Leeds fan right now.
It's weird, right? Because it's similar. It's similar to our rivalry in Newcastle. It's been brought up over the recent years where there's been that banter. I know, the sub on the tune thing when they went down a few years ago. And I listened to a podcast about how much they detest us and whatnot, which is, some of it's down to a little bit of jealousy. Because I'll give you one thing, right? Newcastle think they're massive, Leeds think they're massive as well. But I think when they start comparing it to the Villa, and they don't realise the size of Villa, a lot of the teams giving it large, because we've had a few barren seasons, okay, more than a few, but they don't realise the size of the club. End of the day, historically, we're one of the massive clubs in the country. So this is the thing, when these kind of teams come up and we have a bit of rivalry, then they say, no, we're better than you. That's not the case. They got to realise that stuff, and that's why we need to put them back down in their place when they start giving it the large, innit?
Oh, it's great.
Palleh, what do you think of the first half? I mean, how do you think we started, and what did you make of Alghazi goal?
Great. Well, was it 5 minutes? Wasn't it 5 minutes in?
Yeah.
So no, Alghazi. I mean, he had a really good spell, didn't he, before Christmas? And there was a lot of Villa fans, myself included, saying, he should have been up there for Player of the Month, shouldn't he? I think with the number of goals he scored and the performances he's putting in, and really impressive by Alghazi. And I think it does seem to do that, doesn't he? Every season he has like a really rich vein of form, and then he sort of filters down and it just goes a bit mediocre. But I mean, if he can sort of keep that same consistency, we've got a hell of a player on our hands, I think, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, overall, the first half is fairly solid, defensively very good. I mean, one thing I'd like to point out is, and I think there's a couple of times, a lot of fans did seem to get Mings' back previously, but I think yesterday, he really showed his leadership quality, and there's a couple of times throughout the season when a lot of fans get his back, when he does a lot of the so-called Hollywood balls. But I think yesterday was perfect. He knew when to get rid of it, knew when to play it, and I think he's really shows that he is our probably best centre back as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, yesterday, the way he was just pointing and having a go at players for being out of position or whatnot, he was very vocal. He's always been vocal, but yesterday, I can't say he did anything wrong. I think he gave Konza a really easy game as well. The way that Mings was just dealing with stuff. Konza didn't really have much to do yesterday either. But I do think credit needs to go for Nakamba as also for helping out that defence yesterday, especially protection for Elmo. And then he was helping out Target in the second half. His job was wherever Rafinha is, he's going to go that way. Exactly, and I think that was class. So, Sam, what do you think of Alghazi's goal?
Yeah, I think it was weird. I think about 5 minutes, but a couple of minutes before that, Bamford had a similar type of shot where he slipped and he's just taken it, and Rafinha almost got him on that side. It was very similar, vice versa. Yeah. But his touch to control wasn't necessarily in front of him because the control wasn't perfect that he just slotted it in. But the fact that it was pinged into him so quickly and he actually got it under control, then got his foot down to put it in, that's brilliant. And he wasn't sure when he looked at his reaction. We were sitting there thinking, oh, please, just be onside. Exactly, yeah. So I think generally his performance, Palleh's right in terms of he does have up and down, but what he does give you, he gives you a wicked option because he can hit a decent shot with both feet. He's decent in the air because he's got a good height on him, and he can hold the ball up if he wants to. He's got to be on form, and he's a confidence type of player. When he is confident, when he's on his game like he was yesterday, he's unlucky. He could have had a couple of others, but his direct approach, the attitude of actually give me the ball, let me go with the ball. He wanted to have the ball at all times, which is what you want from players. You don't have to hide. So really, really impressed, really happy. The fact that I think the big thing is, not to go on too much, but the big thing is the options we've got now. Jack's out, Barkley wasn't playing, and the start of the season, without them, you think, bloody hell, who's going to come and step in? But the players have come in, they've stepped in. The Campbell, like you said, has just he shored it up, and nothing against Douglas Luiz, but he's a different type of player. Luiz will pass it around where Macamba just gets in, grabs the ball, passes it to somebody else, and then walks off smiling.
Yeah, had Rafinha in his pocket yesterday, mate.
Yeah, definitely did. Going back on Alghazi, I think his goal was brilliant. Like, he had no time to think. It was just a quick finish. The way he brought it down so quickly, just hit it quick as well. It was a really great goal. But I think he needs to be given credit because he actually took that corner, ran back into a position to be available.
Good point.
I think, we've got ourselves a good player, and that pre-Christmas form that he's in, he's showing that he's a bit more capable. I got to admit, last season, I writ him off. I thought he was rubbish. I didn't think he was any good. I thought, please get rid of him. We need 2 new wingers. I didn't think, whilst Trezeguet scored some important goals, I couldn't see his value either. But Alghazi is definitely proving me wrong this season. I think Jure is a great addition, but, certain games he goes missing as well. But you're right, we have got ourselves a player, and I'm going to put my hands up now and say I got it wrong last season about Alghazi. I think he just needed time to get used to the Premiership. And if he can keep this up, we got ourselves one other player. Does anybody know how much we signed him for?
I think it
7.5, 10 million?
Yeah, I think it might be. I read somewhere around it's about 4 or 5, because I think we paid a hefty loan fee as well, didn't we? But I'm not quite sure, because Villa are always very secretive about how much we pay, and it's always undisclosed with ourselves. We don't have an idea, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, whatever it was, I mean, it's not, it's minute compared to what you pay for a Premier League footballer these days, isn't it? In terms of you're paying 15-20 million pounds for a Premier League winger, so it's definitely cheaper than that by the sounds of what we've been heard.
Plus, also, it feels like I don't know, it might just be me, but his attitude seems to be like when he first came in, he played week in, week out. He was almost one of the starters. He had some really good, he's part of the Wembley win when we came up, and it's the shot that he took that McGinn scored from. It almost like he's a bit more humble now when he come on. He doesn't seem to be me. He seems to be part of the team a little bit more. Maybe that's just me being picky from last season. Because I'm with Rand, I'm like, this he's too unclear. He's not. He doesn't seem to be about the team. He's a bit more give me the ball, and he used to do some silly things.
There's a lot of work. This season from him. I think there was more. Do you remember last season? Was it when Mings had a really big go at him in a game? I can't remember who we were playing.
Yeah. You weren't tracking back, kind of.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So I think there's a bit of there might have been, I don't know, maybe it's difficult to tell from the outside in, but I mean, definitely does look like there's a more positive attitude coming from him as well. I think you hit the nail on the head with that, Sam.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Sam. That attitude last year, he seemed to have a bit of arrogance to him, and I think that maybe just because he was he was adjusting, couldn't quite get his form. That early on clash with Mings as well. It didn't seem like he was part of the team, but this year, he seems like he's settled and he's much more.
When he was getting stick by the fans, it was Mings who actually, in a press conference, properly stood up for him, saying, when he started performing again, said, look, you guys are writing him off, and now what's happening here? So I think we sometimes don't help our players when we do, especially the social media's no good. For some of the players, they're giving the players a bit of time. Like you said, he had a year to settle in last year for the Premiership, and he's hit it quite well. So we've got to give him credit.
Definitely, mate. Yeah.
Another thing I think we need to give credit for as well, just how well we kept Leeds under pressure from the minute go. I loved seeing that from the get-go. We made them uncomfortable, kept pressing them. But have you seen this pattern? Like I've noticed in a couple of games now, this is what we seem to do. We press our opposition, we nick the goal early, and then we defend. We did that against Arsenal. What do you make of this kind of tactic?
Yeah, I mean, we've been given a lot of credit, haven't we, in the media, in terms of how attacking our players and how good we've been in terms of keeping the ball. But yeah, I mean, I definitely reckon. I don't know. I think it's definitely come on more in the last few games that we tend to nick a goal and we tend to be a bit more relaxed. So we're not as, I guess, ruthless as like a Man City. And obviously, we're a million miles behind Man City in terms of quality at the minute, but we're not as ruthless as them kind of teams at the minute. But I guess we have to make use of them, sort of game and be able to play different styles within one game. Because I guess there will be moments when we'll be on top and there will be times when we're on the back foot. But I guess the biggest difference is this season is when we're on the back foot, we're not conceding, silly goals and making silly mistakes. As last season, every time we was on the back foot, every time we was on the back foot and the other team was on the attack, it looked like we're probably going to concede a goal. But big credit to, the coaching staff and the defence this season. Because in theory, I mean, the central defence is the same, isn't it, Mings, in terms of Konsa and Matt Target as well. So it's just really been Cash and Martinez. So, I mean, big credit to, the improvements that likes of Konsa have made, because he's come in leaps and bounds, and Target. I think with Target, we also said, I think Dean Smith is talking about potential England cat, weren't he, like in terms of how good he's been last few games as well. So yeah, I think our defence allows us to do that now. But I think whereas last season, potentially, I don't think the coaching staff or the players themselves had the confidence in the defence to be able to hold on to a lead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you're right there about it's a consistency side. I think I saw the stat yesterday where we've only conceded one goal from an error, for like an unforced error. I don't know if that's right. It was on Sky while I was watching the match. But you're right. The confidence that you have in the team to be able to hold a lead. I mean, the 1-0 up to the 90th minute, they didn't seem as if they're penetrating us too much. We were okay. We were comfortable. But I mean, with a 1-0 lead, you never know, because anything could happen. Anyone can make a mistake, But so you do want the second goal as a cushion. But you're right, the confidence and the team don't seem to, although they're sitting back, they're not just sitting. They're better at counter-attacking. They've got obviously a little bit more players who can play. So when they're holding the ball, they can run past. A couple of runs Trez did when he came on as well. It's like, I'm surprised he still had the ball. And so they are trying stuff, and they're a bit more confident. They know each other better as well. So that's a lot better. So I think you're right. There's two buys. We had Cash and Martinez have massive difference. I didn't think Freddie did all that bad. The Gilbert did all that bad last year. But actually, when you see Cash now, thinking he looks a lot better. And Target, I'm with you guys with Target. He's been so consistent this year. And do England have? The thing is, England have got Chilwell, they've got Shaw, they've got another the West Ham one of got Cresswell, I think.
I think we've got as well, isn't it? It's Justin as well. He plays left back. So
yeah, there's a few of them, man.
You can also add Saka in that left back position as well for England, and it's so difficult. I think Target is an unsung hero for us. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Definitely, mate. And I think he suffered from a similar sort of thing at Southampton, didn't he? In terms of, I think a lot of their fans, they were quite keen on him, but obviously Bertrand, he couldn't really break the. Take his place, so they got rid of him in the end. But they said, no, he's almost going to be the Neely man for England. But that was Gareth Barry for years, wasn't it, until he broke through. But yeah, I mean, if he gets into the England squad, fair play to him. But yeah, like I said, it's very tough at the minute. I can't see him.
The good thing is these days is that we're not worried about our players leaving Villa to get a better opportunity for England. But that's not a worry anymore. So with someone like Target, he can't look and say, actually, if I went to a bigger club, if he got to a bigger club, I'd had a better chances. He doesn't. If he consistently performs at Villa, it's all good for Villa, and it's a bonus for us if he gets into the England squad. Otherwise, keep consistently performing for Villa.
Yeah, definitely.
One person that I think we need to talk about, and his performance yesterday as well, Ramsey. Sam, what do you think of Ramsey, and what do you think he brought differently to what Barkley's been bringing?
He's a tidy player. He's young, so he's going to have a little bit of stuff that he doesn't know where he fits right now. But I think the energy for me was massive. The fact that he was getting about the pitch, he was doing things a bit more simpler than Barkley. I think Barkley, with his reputation, the way he plays, I think he'll take a few more risks. Whereas Ramsey's still coming into it, and I think he had a solid game. He's like a 7 out of 10. He didn't do anything spectacularly magical, but he held it on. And actually, the fact that I wasn't looking at him thinking, oh man, this kid's overrun, man, this kid's, he's overwhelmed or whatnot. He was actually holding his own, which is a big deal from in that the midfield three that we had. He had a big responsibility, and I think he played it really well.
Yeah. Palleh, what do you think of Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much, concur with what Sam's just said. I mean, mean, I think there is a difference between him and Barkley in terms of. I felt Ramsey was pressing a lot more than Barkley, especially was it against West Ham? I think Barkley's last game. I don't think there's a lot of pressing compared to what Ramsey done yesterday. And I thought even when in transition, when he had the ball, he got a quick pass away a couple of times as well. I thought, could have led to some really dangerous attacks for us. So, what is he, 19? I mean, even last season, I think before lockdown, he was doing well at Doncaster, weren't he, on loan? He scored a couple of goals on his debut from midfield as well.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot more to come from him. And in the long run, especially with financial fair play, we can't keep spending, 30, 40 million on midfield, probably players. Things like that. He could be a really good player in the future for Villa, especially homegrown. I think the talk about his brother might be even better than him coming through as well.
Jacob. Aaron, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so looks like, it's a very talented family there we got in the academy. So it'd be great if he can be the next one to make the step up. I know there's a couple of more youngsters in the squad, but no, it's really great to see some homegrown players coming through.
And it's smart from Dean Smith to bring him in and bleed him in with the team. So he's not, you're not then putting the kid in a pressure situation when we need him to perform because we got nobody in. He's bleeding him in with the players, with a lot of experience around him. Mm-hmm. And he got like 70, 75, 80 minutes yesterday, which is brilliant.
Brilliant, yeah. And I think that was a problem last season as well, guys. When you're down at the bottom and you're really struggling, these youngsters won't necessarily get a chance, will they? When you're up against it, you're going to always go with experience. And I tend to find 99% of managers will do that. And you can't really blame them for doing that. But I think this season, we're safely, there's no chance we're going to get relegated, let's be honest. We're going to be comfortably mid-table. Hopefully, we'll be challenging for Europe. But, it just gives a chance to younger players, doesn't it, in terms of getting minutes out there and put them in better shape for next season and have a good pre-season next year.
Yeah, do you guys think there's any youngsters that might be able to fill in the gaps of, say, Neil Taylor? I think he's in his final year contract, and Elmo, who's also in his final year contract. I can't see us buying players to sit on the bench. Do you think there's any youngsters that we can bring in and give a chance there?
Sure. I think there's a couple of games, and I think he travelled with the squad yesterday. Kane Kessler? He's a
right back, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's been talked about, and I think there's been a lot of articles about him recently saying, they do really rate him. So I think he could be. I think he played the game against Liverpool, the one where we played our youngsters, and he done all right there. In terms of left backs, I'm not quite sure. I think who was the guy that got the assist for the Louis Barry goal? Was it Callum Rowe? I think he put the pass through left back, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was him, the left back. So I'm not sure how highly he's rated. I haven't heard much about him, but I think he's out on loan now. So, like I said, I don't think they're going to extend Almo's and Taylor's contract. So I think we are going to either see some youngsters coming through, or we might get some boys, some sort of unknown boys, and hopefully we can develop them. But yeah, I can't see, like you said, I can't see us spending lots of money for players to warm the bench.
Yeah, I think one player that we have to consider their future is Douglas Luiz. Obviously, we know there's this buyback clause, which is 27 million, I believe, from Man City. But boys, what do you think about this? If you're in Man City shoes right now, you're winning 20 games on the trot. You got De Bruyne, Rodri, Gundogan, Foden in that midfielder. You got Fernandinho. I know he's getting on a bit, but do they really need Douglas Luiz? Ricky, what do you think about this?
Nah, we need Douglas Luiz, man. Like he's instrumental to our team. He's done so well. What you picked up on before, talking about players don't want to sit on the bench, but look at Man City. They had 130 million pounds sitting on the bench in their last game. It's about strength and depth of the squad. So whether Douglas Luiz plays every odd game or he plays every game, he's fundamental to the team. He's one of the core players, I would say. If the option's there to sell him, no way, man. He's ours now. We can't afford to get rid of him. We can't sell him. We can't sell him for nobody. Anybody. We need players to keep strengthening our squad, and any players that add to our squad, we can't afford to let him go. Even the likes of Barkley. Barkley, he's been a bit, he's been struggling over the last few games. You could possibly say ever since he's had his hamstring or even COVID. Before that, he was all over it. Him and Grealish were on it always together. So anyone that adds any value to the team, we need to keep a hold of them, including Luiz.
Yeah, I think the Luiz scenario might not be our choice depending on what happens in the summer. But I think, Randy, you're right. With the players that they've got, is he going to look and think, am I going to develop any further? You know, at Villa, he's got into the Brazil squad. Does he want to risk not getting into squads because he's behind 3 or 4 other players? Now, from a Man City's perspective, you know, Fernandinho's getting, I think, in the last year of his contract, something. They're not, and Douglas Luiz is a young player. Getting him at a snip, as opposed to paying maybe 50 million in a couple of years, that's their financial choice. But from our point of view, even if, I think Dean Smith summed it up really well, it was horses for courses yesterday. We had to pick a team to play against a very, very good Leeds team. So Douglas Luiz at that time didn't fit because the way Douglas Luiz plays and Nakamba plays, they're 2 different players, and we needed a Nakamba performance yesterday. So from a Man City point of view, we know how good Douglas Luiz is, and I'm sure Pep does, but can he look at his squad and guarantee Douglas Luiz even 10, 15 games a season? I don't think he can.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big Douglas fan since he really came to us. I mean, I think he was captain Brazil under 23 teams, weren't the under 23. So I mean, anybody with that sort of pedigree, you know, being a captain of under 23 team is such a massive footballing nation. It's a great asset to Aston Villa. And honestly, can I see Man City buying him? If you said this 3 months ago, I probably would have said I was very confident that Man City probably would have brought him. But I think now with them doing so well, Gundogan really coming through and sort of banging in goals from midfield, and Rodri sort of getting more game time, I'm not so sure, if I'm honest. I think if he did go, it's definitely going to be a big miss. There's no doubt about that. And I know he didn't play yesterday, but like Ricky said, you know, you're going to play a team to cater for the opposition sometimes. There's a lot to offer, but I'm not entirely confident, if I'm honest, you know, that we're going to keep him in the summer because he has that quality. And you know, Pep's a very clever guy. I mean, do you really want to lose somebody of that quality potentially, and pay double for him in a season's time? So I don't know. I mean, I love it. I want him to stay, but I can see Man City maybe coming in and having a cheeky bid for 25, 27 million and taking him off our hands. But it would be very unfortunate. But I mean, then we brought Sanson in now, so we can bed him into the team, and he can play a sort of similar position as well. So it's not the end of the world if he goes, but he'd be a massive, massive loss to Villa.
I think what you just touched upon there as well, Samson, everybody's saying that he is a long-term replacement for Luiz in case he does leave. I know if City don't buy him at the end of this season, he's only got 1 year left in his contract anyways, Luiz. So there are questions about his long-term future at Villa. And there has been no news or rumours or anything about him extending a contract. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Rick,
early June, isn't it? Until when his clause expires, apparently. So that's what I've read in the media. So
yeah.
We need to get him signed up on a longer term one, don't we?
Definitely, mate.
So play. All right, boys. Before we go into our final segment of the go, which is Punjabi Who Am I game, let's give some predictions against the Sheffield United game. Ricky, what do you think the score will be?
I think we're probably going to go into the similar sort of fashion to the Leeds game. I mean, it was a bit unorthodox for, you know, Dean Smith to change it as much as he had, because he's kept the same team the same. But when he gets results, he very rarely changes it, because if it's a winning formula, I think Sheffield United are going to go back the same game, same way as Leeds. So I think he's going to keep it the same team, and I think we're going to get a similar outcome. So I'd say 1-0 Villa, the 14th consecutive clean sheet.
Palleh, what do you think?
Yeah, they're not having the best of the season, aren't they? They're really suffering from like second season syndrome. They're doing well in the FA Cup though, aren't they? So they might have a bit of confidence about that. But no, I think we're going to win it. I think we'll win it comfortably as well. I reckon a couple of goals. I reckon I'll go for a 2-0 or a 3-1 Villa. Quite confident.
Sam?
Yeah, I have this feeling about Sheffield United as if they've got another one of those teams that just hate us now because of what happened last season. In my heart, I'm like, yeah, definite win. I think a good 2-2 goal win, because once Sheffield United go behind, they haven't been brilliant about pulling it back. A couple of good results recently, but in terms of trying to show a bit of fight. If if we can play our fluid football, then I think we got it. And the only problem is with Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, the way they play sometimes, I think we might play into their hands. Just cautious about that, but I still think we'd win. We're either going to win big, or I think it's going to be a draw. I'm just going to put a negative spin around that. Sorry, but I think it's either going to be a big win, or I think we'll let one in.
Sam's going double chance.
Sorry, lads.
He's safe with his bet.
I can't let just the mind rule in it. I got to leave the heart with there and say we're going to win big.
I think we're going to win big, 3-1. I'm going with it. I don't think they've got the strikers to deal cause our defense issues. So I'm going for 3-1. It's that time of the show where we're going to play Punjabi Who Am I. If you haven't listened to the show before, Punjabi Who Am I is the Desi version of the Who Am I game. So rather than saying I'm a midfielder, I scored this many times and played this many times for Aston Villa, I'm going to give you facts that only Punjabi families would care about. So that's things like height, age, wages, brand, what car, and those kind of biodata stuff that they only care about. So boys, are you ready for Punjabi Who Am I?
Yes, man.
Let's go for it. Let's go.
Okay. So the first player, I'm 5'7". I'm 35 years old. During my time at Villa, I apparently earned £60,000 per week. My bind is Stevenage. I used to have a black Range Rover Sport and a Aston Martin. Any guesses who this could be?
Ashley Young. Yes.
Bloody hell, Paul, isn't this right away?
On it.
Yeah, got it.
Palleh got it, man. You know
I know
what?
how I got
What's so
that?
interesting?
The Stevenage thing, because he went to
Yeah.
Hamilton, didn't
Lewis
he?
Hamilton, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Otherwise, I didn't have
and there's
it
a
to give
couple
it
of a couple of Godre in Stevenage, one right opposite each other. That's something about Stevenage. There.
But you know what? I didn't expect to be 5'7". I thought he was a bit taller than that.
No, he's very short, very, very short. I actually met him once.
Yeah, that's short. Like 5'7", that's short, bro.
It's short, man. It's super short. Player number 2. I'm 5'11". In today's world, I'm 39 years old. During my time at Villa, I earned £10,000 per week. And my bind is Loam in Tongo.
Ooh. 10 grand.
Oh, it's
got to be early 2000.
It's the Togolese Zidane, isn't he? What's his name? Salafu, is it?
Oh, there you go. Palleh's won already, so.
On it, one.
I'm on fire.
On it, he's on it. All right.
Randy, you ain't going to invite Palleh back, are you?
Well, no. Palleh can come back and defend his title. He's now the Punjabi Who Am I.
Palleh's on fire, man.
He can be the champ, and we'll give him a belt. He can defend that every week.
I think you need to hold some stuff back on the next question so we can catch him out.
All right. All right. The third and final player. I'm 6'2". I'm 33 years old. Any guesses so far?
Let's see.
32.
They're not that good, are you, Palleh? I earn £42,000 per week. Yeah. My car is a matte black Rolls Royce.
Whoa.
And my bind is Chester.
33.
How old is he? 35?
33.
33. Matt Black. Chester's almost like Scousland, isn't it?
Just before, isn't it?
Hollyoaks land.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had a matte black roller.
Yeah. Who would drop that in Chester? How tall is he again? 5'11"?
No, 6'2".
6'2".
6'2", so he's tall.
Definitely going to be a defender.
Chester.
Oh, Mika Richards.
No,
He's older, isn't he?
no.
No, it can't be Mika.
Is it Gary
Oh,
Cahill?
man.
Gary Cahill?
No, not Gary Cahill. Shall I give you another clue?
Go on.
You haven't seen me this season because I injured my gudda. I injured my knee.
Lansbury.
No,
Oh, good shout though.
Lansbury from London.
Where is he?
Is he London?
Arsenal, weren't he? He was Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome.
James Chester.
Not quite. I like your thinking on that one.
Who's injured from Chester?
Oh, Courtney House.
No.
Oh,
How's wouldn't be from Chester,
he's played,
man.
but he's played, hasn't he?
How's from Miami or somewhere, man. The way he chose.
That's what I thought. The car, isn't it?
He ain't 33 either, is he? Surely.
Oh, mate, you know what? I'll probably, I've done one then, didn't I?
Okay. Does it help if I told you I played for England as well?
Oh.
Is it Gareth Barry?
No, he's 30.
He's got to be older.
He's 40 odd.
33. He played for England.
Yeah, I'm not.
Is he a current Villa player?
Current Villa player. You haven't seen me this season because I've injured my gudda.
Oh, man, I want a memory blank.
This is going to be so embarrassing once it goes through.
What position?
England international, 6'2", from Chester, plays for us. 33 years old.
Maybe this will give you a bit of a hint. Chester's by Manchester. That didn't help.
Oh man, it's going to be
Palleh, man.
Paratha, that's what it is.
I got this. This is a
Palleh, we need you on this one.
Still plays for Villa. 33 years old. I didn't know anybody in our squad that old.
So how long this Bunda's been injured? Everybody's forgotten about him.
Oh, that's a good clue. That's a good clue. Played for England as well. England international, man.
It's not Heaton, is it?
There we go, Sam. Tom Heaton.
Taria.
So
I like his choice of car.
yeah, he's
pull that one out of the bag.
We're paying him too much.
It makes sense as well, right? Because he's from Burnley. He played for Burnley, and Burnley's in and around that area as well, isn't it?
Great,
yeah. And he was in the Manchester United Academy.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
He's good. To be fair, he's good professional as well, man.
Exactly, but clearly sure he's been injured too long. All of you lot forgot about him.
It's like, you know what? No offense to him. It's not because he's been injured too long. It's because we all fall in love with Martinez. We forget who our goalkeepers are.
Yeah,
true.
Well, that was Punjabi Who Am I? Palleh, you smashed it. You're the reigning champ. You will have to defend your title at some point.
Well
done.
But that wraps up the show. Boys, any final words before we go?
Villa.
Yeah, Villa. But I think it's good that we're on a good winning run again. I say run again. We needed that win without Grealish. We can show us that we got more to us now. Let's kick on now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and let's with the roadmap clearing up, let's get some of these face to face. A couple of points down us as well.
Yeah, the last home game we're allowed fans, aren't we? Apparently, against the Tottenham, if everything goes to plan. So
yeah,
might be able to link up then. Hopefully,
party shotty.
Yeah, we'll have to do a big PV style balls
we'll
out.
have to find a beer garden somewhere.
Any kids good will do, man.
Definitely. But no, it's been a pleasure, lads. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you for coming on. Well done again to Palleh, our Punjabi Who Am I champion. Thank you to Ricky. Thank you for Sam.
No worries, boys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, lads. Up the Villa. Brah.
If you like what you hear, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channels and our SoundCloud channels. You can also follow us on all the social medias at Punjabi Villans on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to check out some of our latest merch, head over to www.punjabivillains.co.uk for all the latest t-shirts, hoodies, and beer mugs and so much more. Thanks for joining in. We'll hope to see you again real soon.